Hey patrons, so I know it's been a minute since I've been on here. I've got some cool announcements coming next week. Probably, I guess, clue you in on what's been going on around here for the past couple months. Kind of kept me really tied up, that along with shooting schedule and then a lot of work that I haven't been able to show. But what I wanted to do today is I wanted to kind of expand upon my recent YouTube video about working with the ProLight mods and kind of look a little bit deeper into the photo shoot aspect of it and walk y'all around, give you the power levels of my lights and kind of the thoughts behind what I was doing and why certain things were set the way they were set. So we'll walk around this setup here. I've got it on the computer and just talk about those types of things, as well as jump into some of the Photoshop aspects of things, and I'll show you kind of how I guess process these light mod shots. And I am kind of right here on the set that I used for that shoot. I've got another shoot this Friday, and I can't really break everything down, so I'd put this video set together real quick and so I could make this video for y'all. So let's jump right into the computer and we'll go pretty much directly behind the scenes. All right, so here we are, and if you saw my video on YouTube, you will have seen this, but I do have like the power levels right here that I can share with you, and we'll just kind of scroll forward. So this is that kind of X formation that I dreamt up the night before. I was trying to think of some cool kind of graphic elements for this shoot. This was for a athletic apparel line called Phenom, and they create these licensed branded uniforms and gloves and cleats and stuff that they sell to people all over the place. And I had them in here. They had 2 new uniforms coming out. I guess Sonic the Hedgehog is one of them, and then his partner in crime, I guess Knuckles. I don't really know much about those two, except for playing the Sega game years and years ago. But anyway, so they themed uniforms you'll see here in a second. But I wanted to, as I mentioned, I wanted to come in with something that would be kind of neat, do some different things, show off some different mods, and this was kind of a setup that I came up with. And it just goes to show, if you kind of put your creativity to work, you can come up with some really neat stuff for your clients and use these light mods and really come up with some cool stuff. And anyway, they all loved it, and I think it came out great. So let's talk about it, and you'll see, I guess, so I've got 4 lights in the mods back here, and I use the FJ 400s. In the video, though, I showed where the 200s are a viable option. And I'd never used the 200s before this shoot, and initially I used them, well, before the shoot I actually used them up here in the reflectors. And I think that's a great way to, if you need to get like 2 lights, or if you want to add 2 lights to your kit, I believe that would probably, if I were to do it all over, that's probably what I would do, is opt for something less expensive with the 200s that you are going to use mainly in like a reflector, and these pump out more than enough light to do what I'm asking them to do here. And so we'll quickly run through the power. So also what I do with these cool remotes, and you can do this with the Godox remote as well. It's just crazy that I used ProPhoto for all these years, and their remotes, or their remote, they've come out with newer ones now that kind of do have the capabilities of these, but for what you pay for, it's crazy. Now that I've worked with this one here, and I did the Godox one back in the fall, it took a minute to get used to it, but now it's just so much more viable, I think, than what I'd been using, as far as keeping track of what's going on, changing things up, doing all that type of stuff on the fly from the top of my camera. So it's just, I've stated it before, it's a great time to be a photographer. These gear manufacturing companies really are taking into mind what we need to make our jobs easier. So let me set all that. So what I do now is I set up these different groups based off where my lights are. So my A light is going to be my key light. This is just a system I figured out. And so for this shoot, I had that set at 5. And then in conjunction with that, then I had two, they're showing off the 200s there. I had two fill lights here on either side. I initially started with one. Let's jump over. I'll show you why I had to change that, actually. Right here. So I had an umbrella at first, and then this is kind of what we have to do as photographers is problem solve. It's one of our jobs on sets like this. And I noticed real quick that this was going to be an issue that I was going to have to spend time on in post to clean up, unless I could come up with something that would make sense and still do the job I needed to do. And that's where these, let me go back here to the video. That's where these kind of came in, because they left the reflections in the mask. Let me jump back here and I will show you. So let me zoom into this guy. So you can see right here, with that mask being so reflective, and you saw just that round, you can pick up the video. So I had someone shooting behind the scenes, so I had to rig up some video lights just to kind of lighten up the area a little bit. And you can pick up everything. You can see me right here. But so these kind of take your attention away from most everything else that's going on in here. And instead of that big round circle, they kind of make sense. And I think, it's easy to kind of touch this stuff out. But this kind of goes along with the theme that we've got going on throughout the whole image. So I first came across this, and I mentioned this before, when I was shooting the NHL team for the first time, and they put the mask on, and it was very similar to this one, to where it just reflected everything. I'd been, up to that point, I'd been used to visors that kind of stretch things. So if you put a round light on a normal kind of football visor, the way that thing is angled, it normally stretches that circle out and just makes some like really long kind of rectangle shapes that go from top to bottom and actually look pretty cool. And these types of reflective visors just make our jobs that much harder, because it just shows everything that's going on around the set. So that was my solution for that issue, and the reason why I've got these two here. And also I knew that we're going to be doing a lot of backlit type stuff to keep things dramatic. So I wasn't overly concerned with having the mods and then having two lights on either side and things being a little too even. That just wasn't troubling me with this shoot whatsoever. And so those were set at 3.1 is what I've got here on the remote. So pretty low, especially going through a softbox like that. So it's a 5.0 right here on the kind of main key light, and 3.1 on the fill. So that's everything headed toward my subject. Now if we move back here, then I've got an overhead light, which I showed in the video. And also, this is another thing I've learned a long time ago with reflective helmets. And in the old days, I used to put a 3x4 light up here with the egg crate grid, and that would cover me pretty well doing simulated action as well as standing still images. But this right here adds yet another aspect to what we're doing with the reflectivity of the helmet and kind of keeping the stadium light theme going. So you can see right here, we've got lights in the helmet, which could resemble something in an arena, a stadium, that type of thing. So that was the purpose there. And it's serving also a purpose, bringing lights to the top of the helmet, or brightening up the top of the helmet and his shoulder pads, that type of thing. So you can see that right there. So let me go back. So then we'll move forward. So in my overhead light, let me tell you that one's at a 5. So I had a little more juice coming out, and I'm juicing up as I'm going back over the top and back to the back side of my subject. All right, so the mods here, they were in yet their own group, because they're 4 lights, I need them the same power. Those were set at 6.5, and this is something I touched on the video. A lot of people I see don't kick enough power back into their mods, and you're losing that flare that in my opinion, they should have. I mean, we're replicating stage or stadium lights here, and they should be super bright. I mean, if you go to a stadium at night and you look up at the lights, I mean, it's like looking at a mini sun. So they need to function like that, I think, for them to sell that effect in your images. So those are at 6.5 when my key light was at a 5 and a lot closer to my subject. So you can see I'm really cranking those up. And then I guess the only other lights I can talk about are right over here, the 200s, and those were at 4.0. So just a little kiss of light coming out of those reflectors to kind of edge out my subject. And let's jump over to Photoshop again. I've got a layered document here. All right, so, and sorry about the... I didn't have my camera on tripod, so it kind of moves around a little bit, but I had Photoshop stack them, so some of these will look a little warpy when I go through, but you should be able to see the light. So this is just with that key light, and as you can see, I'm not really concentrating too much on the front lights for this photo shoot, and especially at this point. And so this shows with the fill lights, you can see them kicking right there. That's before and after, so you can see I'm getting more fill on the uniform. Still don't have separation from the backdrop, so that'll be coming. So this is that overhead light, and I've got it gelled right during this point when I decided I would kind of do this lighting breakdown for y'all. I had a gel in there, and so you can see it's giving us that light on. There we go, right here. We're getting that top of the helmet illuminated. We're getting the top of the shoulders, top of the arms. So that light is doing a pretty important job for this shoot. And I've got it basically right over top of my subject. All right, so next will be the 200s, and those are, you can see, given right out of the reflectors, giving us a nice edge, which is bringing the subject forward, separating him from the background, and giving us that really nice, kind of crispy, athletic look. So you can see that. We're getting some hits on the side of the helmet. Those are round too, so they go along with what we have going on up top. And you can see just with those, we're getting some nice light down the sides of the jersey. And it's really kind of completes that look. That's where I really think it's the 200s are great for this. It's a great way to add to your kit at a lower cost than going up and getting like the 400s and that type of thing. Plus, then you have like two little lights you could take on, like if you need to do a 2-light setup real quick somewhere. They are so much smaller than the 400 watt lights and very portable. So it's not a bad thing to have. And then right here, this is with all the lights on. So we'll jump back through all these again. Let's go backwards. So that's just key light right there. Fill light a little bit on this one, so I'm not really filling too much. That's with the overhead light. That's with the edge lights or rim lights, kicker lights, whatever you want to call them. And then that's with the mods back behind them. It's like a 6.5. So, and really kind of getting that flaring that I want to get. So let's jump into bridge, and then I'll show you. So there's that initial light. So I'll show you some of these looks. So this is basically what I'm talking about with the, you can see I've got actually no lights on the front. This is just the overhead light, the 200s giving me the little edge here, and the mods back here. And that's all I'm using for some of these, because we wanted it to be very kind of graphic, where you're just kind of getting a silhouette. And I'll kind of bring that up a little bit in post. Clarity works great with these. Like anything though, don't, err on the side of caution. Another cool thing when you use the light mods, if you get them in the right zone, if you're exposing for them correctly, you can use this highlight slider, because this is picking up highlights within the image, and this will directly pretty much control the mod. So you can see what I'm doing here. I'm controlling, and it's catching this guy over here because it's around the same exposure. So if you want to, in post, dial those mods up a touch, give them a little bit of a kick, this is where you do it, right here on this highlight slider. And this is kind of, unfortunately, I see a lot of people underexposing those, and this is kind of what their images start out as. And the highlight slider has nothing to grab onto when you underexpose them. So if you expose them correctly, you can come in here and adjust them and maybe give them a little bit more of a punch. But so that's kind of what we're looking for at the first half of the shoot, and I just wanted to show that. And let's jump back over here again. So we did several different setups, really cool, kind of graphic looking shots. This is one that I pulled for him earlier. And then, all right, so here's then when I'm starting to bring up the fill light a little bit more. And you can see, I'm getting some more detail here on the front side. This is our other alternate, this is our other jersey, the red jersey. And you can kind of see the difference in what we have going on here versus earlier. So this is a good example. Let me go down here and grab one of these. So this kind of actually, let's see, go back a little bit further. This one's been adjusted somewhat. So you can see the difference in having the fill light going and then doing just kind of silhouette work, which I think, if you've got the time to do it with your clients, it's a really cool type of look and feel. The athletes normally love that, kind of where you outline them. I had some spray here, so I was spraying the guys down. It gives a little more, it catches more light on their arms, gives them more definition in their arms. So think of just doing different things when you do these different setups. You can turn lights off and turn lights on and get completely different looks. So, this look right here is completely different than this look. And then I talked about in the video where we use gels. I'll bring that up in here. So it just added gels to what we had going on, and that gave a whole different look. And it's just a matter of embracing your creativity, your problem solving with figuring out what I had to do at the beginning with the lights. Another thing, if you don't have the mods, obviously in my position I'm going to have them here. But if you don't have the mods, in the past I've done bounces where maybe it's like a bigger piece where it doesn't kind of like stick out like a round circle, or I've even done just bare strobes. And then it's like a little pin light, which is giving you some fill, and it's an easy fix in post. So that's another couple ways to get around having that issue, with the reflection in the visor. So I hope this has helped y'all out some. I've got after next week's announcement, based on when you see this video, obviously I should have another photo shoot where I'll break down the lighting again, and I'm gonna pop that up here as well. Think about maybe we'll do another live feed. So maybe next week do another live. So if y'all are interested in that, please let me know down in the comments, and I will put a post up. Maybe y'all can do some pre-questions for the live. And then those of you who can join me on the live, I think I can do lives right inside Patreon now. So that might be a cool thing to do, and y'all can ask me direct questions there as we're on the live, or I can use some of the questions that you pre-put up. So I want to thank y'all again for all your support on here. Please feel free to reach out to me in the direct messages, and I will see you soon in the next one.